Good afternoon. We begin a series of interview organizational change in institution of higher learning. Today we have PhD consultant and educator Alexander Golerik. Good afternoon, Alex.
Good afternoon, Ksenia. Good to be with you.
Thank you for agreeing to give us an interview and share the experience of USA schools.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
But before we begin, I want to tell our listener that Alex Gorelik is a consultant and educator with more than 20 years of experience in organizational communications, market research, and leadership coaching. Alex currently runs an academic program for approximately 150 students at Benedict College. Alex is also founder of Gorelik Consults, a company that helps small and middle businesses executives see the stories behind the data they collect and use it in hire their employees and customers to work together to improve their businesses. Alex consulting and research work has led him to the United States, Ukraine, Canada, Finland, Russia, and South Korea. Alex is nominated for TEDx and recognized as Who is Who in America. Alex, it's a good information.
Ksenia, thank you for generous introduction. Appreciate
it. So we begin. Our first interview will focus on the changes that we have affected all education and institutions around the world. COVID and colleges. Why organization change is necessary. Alex, please tell us what's the impact of COVID in American colleges?
Well, as you know, Ksenia, colleges in America are much closer to the market than they are perhaps in Europe and in Ukraine, and so they reflect the economic ups and downs much closer than perhaps educational systems in other countries. It's it's an advantage point in good times, but it's also a disadvantage in times of crisis like this one. And so the impact of a global epidemic like COVID is systemic, of course. It pertains to recruitment, it pertains to retention, it impacts the college's finances, the college's internal organization. It impacts colleges as organizations. As you know, recruitment in America is down today.
Yeah.
I have a fortunate experience of working at a small private institution, teaching at a small private institution, as well as a large public university. And I can compare the impact, and the impact is great on recruitment in both institutions. We know that about a quarter of undergraduate students will not come back this fall. The enrollment in graduate programs may actually increase because a little bit, because it always increases in times of crisis as people opt out of poor job market and decide to take a break, reassess their life, and pick up a few degrees. But the undergrad shortfall is going to be between 20 and 25%, and it's going to impact us for the next, at least the next 4 to 5 years. Of those who will return, 85% do not want to be taught online, which is unfortunate because that's where we are going. Starting this fall, most of American institutions will change to one of the formats that include online learning, This could be a full online classes, could be hybrid classes, part offline, part online, high flex classes. That's a new fashionable, quote unquote, term being thrown around. And that's a class that is basically dynamically changing and could change day by day based on the situation and the wishes of the students. One day it could be online, the next day completely in class. So these are not just new formats of the same learning process. These are fundamentally new modalities that students are not prepared for. And we see that 85% of them are not comfortable with their experience with online classes in the spring. The faculty are not comfortable, and the college administration is not yet comfortable. We have not yet figured out a compelling business model for this type of for incorporating these learning modalities in our work. But we already know this is the future. COVID may be eradicated at some point in the future. We don't know when, but the new reality of global pandemics will stay with us, and they will forever change education. The good old days of students going to class and professors marking attendance are gone forever. Mm-hmm. That's as far as recruitment and learning modalities. A whole new set of accommodations have to be made because of these new modalities. Some of the content that we grew so comfortable with and deemed necessary will have to be cut. Some of the standards of assessment will have to be revised or relaxed, perhaps, especially during the epidemic. We know now that, at least in the United States, that 41% of first-time undergrad students that enroll in the spring and fall will not graduate in the first 6 years of their studies. That's a huge statistic, and that's during the good times. With the impact of COVID, this graduation rate will likely drop. What can colleges do to accommodate for these new conditions? Should they relax the standards and redefine their purpose, their mission, from teaching the content to being institutions of personal advancement for the students, being institutions that develop them as human beings and help them navigate the job market and, more generally, the adulthood. That's one of the trends, one of the possible solutions. There are critics to that say, look, employers are not stupid. They're not going to hire people that come from universities that are known to drastically and unreasonably lower their standards. So there is a fine line that the administrations and administrators and the faculty have to walk between accommodating the new reality, changing the assessments, amending the standards, and not destroying their brand and harming the students in the process. Endowments are down. Giving is down. Funding is down. Obviously, small private institutions are in worse shape today than large state-supported institutions. But the impact is felt by everybody. The reports that I'm reading from financial analysts point to the fact that most of them expect institutional giving to be down year on year for the foreseeable future, while they also expect a reasonable, modest, very modest increase in individual giving. So to give you a perspective, today an average gift to an academic institution by an individual in America is around $130, $140. That's not a lot.
Yeah.
So how do college administrators account for that? At the same time, there will be enormous pressure to lower the tuition cost while also making investments into IT infrastructure, right? Because you're moving to online classes, which obviously will cost less, right? Because you don't have campuses, you don't have real estate investment, you don't have real estate and services infrastructure to the same degree, and yet, so you can't charge students as much, and yet you have to up your IT game. So you will have to shell out much more for to stay competitive in this area. So there are challenges, but at the same time, Ksenia, as you know, the time of crisis is also a time when the next great new models of behavior emerge. And I happen to be firmly in the optimist camp because I believe that if there is any good that will come out of this COVID situation, it is that colleges, universities will finally wake up, realize how far behind the curve they are in terms of their business models, their organizational structures, and their organizational communication processes, and will take this opportunity, this jolt of necessity, to reassess all that and quickly restructure, because frankly, it's their only their saving grace in this crisis. I believe that those who will survive will come out entirely as entirely new organizations.
Okay, thank you, Alex. And what are the most important 3 steps that college leader can take to make sure the organization survive? What do you think?
Well, the new normal will require several fundamental changes in organizations. Other industries have already caught up with those changes, if not procedurally, then at least mentally. They are mentally prepared. Education has been behind. Now is the opportunity to catch up with the rest. Here are the changes. The new education organizations, the survivors, will have a different relationship with their clients, the students. They will shift from being companies who teach content to companies that specialize on relationship building, with having a relationship with a student. Everybody talks today about building a relationship with a client. Not everybody knows what it means. Colleges and universities will have to learn very quickly what it means and to perfect this art of relationship building if they want to survive. The leaders of these companies will have to ensure that their organizations change to become like that. In order to become like that, the leader will have to ensure an internal transformation of this organization. Having a relationship with a student will have to be perhaps the most important part of any the most important job responsibility of any role within the educational institution. Any role, from the president to the janitor. That means that you will have to restructure your HR. You will have to rewrite your job responsibilities, your reporting channels, your decision-making processes. You will have to completely revamp your communication processes in the company. You will have to help as a leader, you will have to help your employees, administrators, and faculty alike accept this change. And as we both know, when a person is confronted with a drastic change, they go through certain stages, right? From anger to denial, to bargaining, to depression, to acceptance.
Yeah.
The leader has to help their employees to go through these stages, take them from shock, from apathy to acceptance, to become champions for these change. In other words, the leader will have to lead their organization through a formal change process, and they will have to manage this change. They will have to employ formal management, science, change management approaches. I personally am convinced, Ksenia, that this crisis will give birth to a new set of best practices, a new management system that will be as useful, as productive, as famous as Six Sigma, TQM, Agile, Lean, and all the rest of it. Because the leaders who will effectively manage these change, those best practices will be used post-COVID for a very, very, very long time as a golden standard. This effective transition consists of two equally important parts: the people part, the change management part, and the systems, the communication systems that carry this change. And that is why I feel it's important that conversations like this occur today between companies like BIJB that provides this backbone of communication systems that drives the change, that consultants like us at Gorelick Consult can help companies to implement, to transition, to jump over this barrier of COVID. Because again, I believe that there is much good to come out of this crisis, and the best practices that are being developed as we speak will be held as a golden standard for years to come post-COVID. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Alex. Thank you for such interesting and comprehensive answers.
Absolutely.
I think Yes. In the next interview, we will talk about the change in management college.
I would love to. I think this topic is important. I think it is evolving,
Yes.
and I think it would be great to have an opportunity to have conversations like this in the future, in the near future, hopefully.
Yes, of course. I think it's very important information for our colleges, and I think it's for your colleges in USA.
Absolutely, absolutely. We are all in this together.
Yes. So
Absolutely.
thank you so
Thank you.
much and see you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.